Welcome to Final Friday Planner Collaboration for July with me, Creative Katie, Karen Burchill. Links to the other collaborator videos can be found in the description box below. Please check them out. Hit the subscribe button and select the option to be notified as soon as I upload a new video. Yes, I have a new planner. This is the classic size of the Happy Planner, and it followed me home the other day. I have, for a long time, I decided that with my next planner, I was going to go with the classic size, this size, and not the bigger one. I found that just too bulky. I didn't need as much room as what was provided in there, and so I made that decision a long time ago to go with the smaller version. This is an 18-month calendar, so there is a little bit of overlap, but I am taking out July because that I already have in the other planner. And I realized that there is a couple pages here, right here, these two, that, end of July, don't really relate to this, what I'm going to be having in this planner. So I'm going to cover this with paint at some point in time, much like what I've done with the Hello Month page. I'm not sure if we're going to do that in this video or not, but that's what I will do, and then it'll belong in the video. So in this planner, there is a different system. The Hello Month page is gone. Instead, they have a month page that says important dates, birthdays, remember, and the month's top 3. And I really like this setup, and I really think this may be something that I would use. And so that's what I'm going to attempt to do. Instead of covering this with paint and turning it into a gratitude page or repurposing it as I did the Hello Month page, I'm going to give this a try. So my plan after this month is to sit in front of the TV and with my phone and just input important dates, birthdays, anniversaries, and the like. And then when it comes to the actual planning for the month, that will already be done. So the more things you can take off your plate and have ahead of time, the easier and the less time you need to spend planning and decorating your planner. So I'm just pulling up August, and I'm not going to show you as I do all of that. While I'm doing this, I'm also going to fill out the monthly spread in much the same way. Now, instead of using jelly prints, I thought I'm going to use brayered papers. Some people don't have a jelly plate, so this is something that you can do if you've got acrylic paint and a brayer. And I'll put a link to my video, my mixed media technique tag video, brayered backgrounds. But as you see here, you're going horizontally and vertically, and you're putting layers of color onto paper. Now this means I can totally customize the color to match the color that is in my planner. So I am just going to have fun and do a whole bunch of these for my planner. And I'm mixing colors and you're layering colors, and paper gets nice and textured, and I'm thinking I can use this to cut up for the various purposes to decorate my planner. Now, some of this I get a little into the more purpley shades. Some I won't be necessarily using this month, but it goes into my stash, so I know I'm going to use it. As you can see, I am simply using craft paint. This is Americana craft paint. I think maybe later I pull out some Liquitex. You could use either or. Anything works. It may go on a little bit differently, leave a bit of a different pattern, but it will all work. So my goal is to have, 3 or 4 of these for all the months or for all the weeks in the month of August. The color, fortunately for me, the color in both planners ended up being the same, so I didn't have to redo this because I had done this beforehand. Decided to do some on some vintage music paper with the music notes coming through, just to add a little bit more detail and interest to my page. And I'm mixing corals and reds and oranges, and I've got some metallics there, and add a layer of white. And if you're doing this and you get to a stage and you don't like it, just keep adding layers. And as you can see, I'm turning the page because you want to go switch it up horizontally and vertically, and you're hitting the paper at different places. You're not going the full gamut. You want to get that pattern and interest on there. So there are some lovely, lovely papers, and I'm quite happy with these, and we may add some details. Then, because I had pulled out some of the sticker paper that I had, the label paper, I'm just brayering on top of them with the same colors. I want everything to have a similar feel and texture. So some of these look pretty shabby, not usable at all, and this just gives them a new life. At this point, I really don't have an idea of whether I'm going to be able to use these or in my new planner setup, because the pages are different sizes, which means there's less room, there's less that's going to be decorated, because I do use my planner. It's not just about the decorating. So my plan isn't to get as involved with decorating the planner, but to still do things that are rather tasteful. Now, before I go on, I bought these little pages from Staples. They belong to the ARC system, which is a similar system to the Happy Planner system, and they work in the Happy Planner. So I am deciding to put a layer of brayer the paint on this. Now, because there's not as much room in the planner, one of the things that I don't think I might have room for is doing my brainstorming for Creative Katie, for all my projects. And I thought I'm going to add a colored page in the middle. It'll mark the week, but it will also give me a place to write down my ideas, and then I can collect them. And since I'm doing everything brayered, I thought this is a perfect way of just adding the paint to this. So I'm going to do both sides, and you'll see what I'm going to do with this. Hopefully it'll be a little clearer later on. I've tried to use these before, and they always look so plain and ordinary in the planner that I don't like them. So here I've already glued down a couple pieces of that brayered paper into the blank spaces for the monthly spread. And before I did that, I cut myself a template that covers 2 squares. That just helps me cut it. And I'm also going to cut one for a single square. And then if I want to cut anything that size, I have those, and those will go in a tray all together. Now I want to put some quotes in there, and here again is something that you can do ahead of time and have it at the ready. I have my quotes book, so I just go in there and I pick a quote, and I'm putting part of the quote on the first one and part of the quote on the second one. And I'm simply cutting it out and gluing it down with a glue stick. Easy peasy. Now you'll notice that the dots in the corner, that is something that they have throughout the entire month. And so I'm going to utilize that. It's something I like. I'm thinking it's a way I can embellish what I do add on so that everything goes together. And I'm just outlining it. It feels to me like it needs a little bit of black. When in doubt, outline. So I'm getting my white craft paint there, and I'm adding dots. And I really like how this goes so well with the little bit of dots they have on the planner. It's an easy way of adding interest to your page. The only thing is, it does stay wet for a while, so you have to be careful that you put it aside and make sure it dries without getting all smudged. So while that's drying, and I'm telling myself, yeah, you can totally avoid smudging it. I'm just going to add some of the information to the monthly spread. Now, one of the things that I do is I keep track of recycling days and garbage days and days that we can take our yard waste to the dump site. And I just stamp the single letter that stands for that. And I'm using my Distress ink in Fired Brick color, which is a perfect match to what I've got going on this page. And there you see the two templates that I have. And I just cut those out of packaging, cardboard packaging. So I have, I'm going to make a little bit of a flag. We have a holiday on August 7th, so I'm putting a flag there. I'm just writing the word holiday just to make that a little bit more special. Now I decide I'm going to cut these brayered papers into squares and put them in the middle of the days where I have birthdays, people's birthdays, and I'm just putting it in the center. You can cut that brayered paper into whatever size, shape you want, and I'm just putting some dots on there, and that's just going to be a reminder that I have birthdays on those special days on that day. And I'm using some of the coral color also in the dots. So I'm really just playing up and having fun with the dots. And make sure you dry it. So moving right along to the weekly spreads. I cut a template for one of the blocks to use to cut out any of the brayered paper or whatever I might need. And as well as I have a template for the section that you see me gluing on right now. I don't use that part of that, and I like adding some color to this. So here you see me using a curvy ruler to cut out, and instead of cutting it with the paper cutter, I'm just getting that little bit fancier, I guess, and putting a swervy line, a curvy line for the divider. Now this top section I use for the top half of it will be for meal planning, and the bottom half is going to be for my everyday to-do lists. I might put appointments in there, things to remember, that kind of stuff, but I really don't need a whole big section. Of course, I will be able to report back. This is somewhat smaller than my last planner, so we'll see how that goes. So I found in amongst all my stamps a little star stamp, and I'm using Distress ink in Fired Brick color, which is exactly the perfect match. and I'm just putting 3 bullet holes here. Now my center section I've decided is going to be all about kind of well-being. I'm going to keep track of exercise and that kind of stuff, activity. I'm going to keep track of my sleep, and I'm going to keep track of some of the meds that I'm taking. So that's kind of all kind of health and wellness. And so each one of those bullets is going to represent one of those things, and it just gives me a place to put it. So I'm using the stylus to add these dots. Remember, there's some dots at the bottom, pink dots on the white. So just kind of like how that adds a little bit of extra fun to this page. So the next week I'm kind of doing the same thing. I'm cutting it, but I discovered that I really like that pink with black. So I'm just mounting this on a little piece of black paper that I had sitting on my desk, and I'm just putting it there because I really like how that looks. The numbers there are in black, and so that makes it all go together. So the top section, I'm doing the exact same thing. I just cut with the curvy ruler. Now here I'm taking a stencil and I'm masking off parts of it because I want 3 bullet holes with those hearts. So this is another way you can make bullet holes, and this is a very quick, easy, very effective way to get that done. Now the bottom section is all my Creative Katie stuff. Projects, prompts that I have from groups that I'm following, all that kind of stuff will be going in there. Now I got tired of cutting the curvy one, and I think doing it once in a while is nice to get some variation. If you don't have a curvy ruler, you can make your own. Here I just paper cutted the strip, and this piece of brayered paper that I'm putting on the top left hand corner, I'm just edging it with my woodless charcoal pencil and then going around it with my Posca pen. Now because this is a smaller planner, I am not going to decorate as much of it because I want to see how I use it. So there, I'm using fired brick and a little heart stamp to give me the 3 sections that I want to keep track of in the next month. Now this one I grabbed some sticker paper and that I brayered in the beginning section. And the joy of the sticker paper is you just peel and stick. It's quick and easy. You're not messing around with glue sticks. And but you do have the added expense of buying the sticker paper or Now I had the smart idea of cutting the sticker into these little squares to make my bullets for this one. Well, as you can imagine, that took forever to try to peel off the backing. So then I decided that I would just peel it off the backing when it's a strip and then just cut it to size afterwards. And as you can see, that worked much better and quicker. So live and learn. I love those little squares. So here we have these tabs that I bought from Staples, the ARC system, and I'll put a link to that and other specialized products in the description box if you're interested. Now these were gray and lined, and I never liked them in the planner. They somehow lacked color, and I really love how these turned out. So here I'm just stenciling on top of the brayered paper, and I'm only doing one side of it because the other side I'm going to use as my brainstorming section for Creative Katie. So I'm using Dilutions paints here through the stencil. I'm using white. I'm using the darker burgundy. I love these. I just hang on. I do even more to this in a minute. They, I think, are my favorite addition to the planner, and definitely of this video. So you're just layering colors and patterns, just like you layered the colors with the brayering. So again, grab out any of those stencils and test them out. Give them a workout. If they haven't been used, that's what they should be using. And I think just like last time when I had my ATCs, these are going to replace those ATCs. And for thin paper, it really handled the paper or the wet paint when I brayered it on very well. So adding dots and stenciling, just adding color. The sky's the limit. You know, go through your stash, add whatever you want to do. So I want to add visual interest. And texture, visual texture, because I don't want to add bulk to the planner and to this page. Now you can make one of these yourself. All you need to do is just cut it out of regular mixed media paper or any kind of paper that you have, and then punch it with your either if you have an arc punch or if you have a happy planner punch. And I think next month I will show how to make one of these on your own and give you the measurements. So this alphabet set, this grunge alphabet, is from Recollections. It's a Michaels brand, and it's like Tim Holtz's grunge alphabet, which I've been admiring forever. I just purchased this, and I absolutely love these big, bold letters. So I place them on there, and then I'm using the acrylic block, the Dilutions acrylic block, because it's the only one that I have that's big enough. If you don't have a big enough one, you can put it letter by letter. You don't necessarily need to have all the letters there. So I am just using a makeup sponge and putting black acrylic paint onto the stamp and then just pressing it on there. Did I tell you how much I love these? And as always, when you use acrylic paints and your stamps, you need to clean it off with a baby wipe, or soak it in water with Murphy's oil soap, and use a toothbrush if you need to. I've got some ideas of what I'm going to do with these once the week has passed, but you'll have to come back next month when I have a chance to get that all organized. And putting the letters, you can put them straight or you could offset them like I have here. And it's just that little bit of fun. The great thing about grunge letters is if it doesn't quite cover it, who really knows? So here I'm using my charcoal pencil, woodless charcoal pencil, and to fill in some of the areas that didn't quite stamp. Then I'm thinking that may not be a great thing because the charcoal may smudge the opposite page. So I go in with my Posca pen. And since I have the Posca pen in my hand, I'm going around dashes and dots and different kind of doodles, whatever you can think of. Since I've gotten my planner, I've probably doodled more and played around with doodling than I have ever before. And I think it's translating into my pages, my iCads. So I'm really liking the pink, black, and white, which is a good thing. So it's all put together. I did some more doodling with the Posca pen, my black. Just doodled. It just seemed to go really well with the pink. We have these, so we have motivation cards, and then on the back here I'm going to have my brainstorming of whatever creative Katie things are going on. Then we did a lot of making dots with the stylus. And if you don't have a stylus, you can use the tip of a paintbrush. So we'll just kind of go through there, just outlining a little bit of black and glued in some quotes here, keeping it pretty clean and simple. There. Really like the brayer papers, the look of that. Really like the kind of the checklists and to-do lists. So we'll see how this works out. Bye for now. So here is the monthly spread, and I've got special days kind of marked. I think I'll put in on the blank parts some of my gratitude stuff. That's where I'll write it in, because I really liked having that in my planner, and that isn't something a space I use. So here is the first week spread. I'm absolutely loving the tabs, the list maker from Staples. Close-up of some of the doodling that I did. Now again, I did the doodling to have it for the video, but that could be something you, as you're planning, as you're sitting in front of the TV, you can do. The second week spread, and I kind of matched the quote on the top left-hand side with the word that I put on the front of that tab. Week 3. So all the weeks, as you can see, are fairly simple, and fairly, much the same. These are different. I had a lot of fun creating these, and I'm really happy with them. And I'll be able to report how I like using this smaller planner, this new division, how it works. Until then, laugh. Bye for now.